All right, welcome back, everybody. Another Coffee with Cagnetta, and I am very honored to have my friend Sal Naro here. Sal is with Coherence Capital, uh, Coherence Credit,
True. Credit.
Coherence Credit. But Sal is a very, very successful businessman. Been in the in the money business for a very long time, but he's a really down to earth guy. He's like one of us. We, grew up in the New York area. So, Sal, welcome. Thanks for coming on today,
Andy,
man.
thanks for having me. I especially like my coffee with Cagnetta cup, and I'm told by your assistant that I actually get to take it home with me, and I'm not allowed to take any proceeds from
Oh,
these type
really?
of events, so I
Okay.
may have to declare this on my
Uh,
taxes, but
uh,
I'm not sure. But
okay.
thank you, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
love
I
the
didn't
color
know you were a
combo.
public official, but we get
Well, actually, in my world, I luckily and thankfully can't even donate to political causes.
Oh, really?
Nope, cannot do it because of various um, restrictions in the SEC
Wow.
and disclosures. So
Wow.
yeah, so don't call me for money for any political candidates
All
on either
right.
side. I'm
Well,
all
I'm not
good.
running this week, but let's talk. Sal, I did mention quickly that you're from the New York area, and so am I. And I think when we first met, we talked a lot about that. Talk about like you were born in Queens.
I was Queens, Rosedale, Queens, right by JFK.
Wow, and but you didn't grow up there for the most part.
No, lived there for a few years, and then my dad moved our family out. So I have four sisters
Wow,
and me, and so my dad moved our family out to Dix Hills. And I went to Half Hollow Hills High School and Half Hollow
wow,
Hills Schools. And when I moved to Dix Hills in 1964, there was literally nothing.
yeah,
My dad was a builder. My grandfather was a builder who came over from Sicily. And it was all
wow,
cornfields. And so he built a house on 2.5 acres. We were the only house.
wow.
And of course, now it looks like almost looks like Rio Vista. I
Yeah,
mean,
sure.
it's packed in, and there's so many houses and stuff. But yeah, so we moved out to Long Island in 1964, and I was there really full time growing up until 1979. Then I went to college at Long Island University,
Yeah,
CW Post. My family actually started moving down here in bits and pieces from New York, from Queens,
right.
in the late '60s. So they went
Huh.
down to Hollywood, uh,
Yeah.
and my dad moved down here in '79, and then I bought my first home here in 2007, and
Wow.
I've been a full time Florida resident ever since 2018, and
Wow.
I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
Still have the house in New York
Yeah. Sure.
for now, but I spend almost all my time down here.
Yeah.
Certainly, 9 months of the year.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly the weather is perfect most of the year, and then the 3 months we all want to get out of here. It's a
The
good time
weather's
to get out.
amazing. I'm fortunate enough to live down by the water, which I
Right.
love. I'm a huge ocean sea person,
Right.
and generally, I think people are happy in Florida. You
Yeah.
can say for whatever reason, but generally, it's a happier place to live. It's New York is only gotten more challenging.
Right.
It may get even more challenging still with the upcoming changes that may
Right.
happen electorally, et cetera. But certainly with the changes in policies around drugs, for example,
Yeah.
and pot and things, it's New York has really changed. I think many cities have, you know.
Yeah. So let's talk about growing up in New York. I mean, so you went to school up there. How'd you wind up in the finance business?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to be a gym teacher.
Right.
I was an athlete, a scholarship athlete, into college. I was um, all league and all county in football,
Nice.
in Half Hollow Hills. And I always had this dream that I was going to maybe play in the NFL as a running back. I was pretty good, but small.
Right.
And every kid has this dream that they can play in the pros in whatever sport it is. And of course, mine came to a super abrupt ending when I tore the sartorius muscle in my thigh in about the third or fourth game of my senior year. So I was a
Wow.
3 year starter at Post. Um, I was a walk-on athlete,
Wow.
so I was recruited, but I didn't have a scholarship. I earned my scholarship in the spring, so I went to Post on an athletic and academic scholarship. And my dad pushed me. He said, "You're not going to make any money as a gym teacher and as a coach, so you need to take business courses." So he pushed me to take business courses. I went to Post initially as an accounting major.
Huh.
Boy, did I hate that. And after 6 months, I just couldn't take it, so I switched to finance, switched the major to finance. Actually, I have a double major in finance and marketing and a minor in
Right.
economics, but and switching out of accounting, what I do and in my world, accounting is important, but not the crux of everything. Um, and so marketing is super important
Yeah.
and understanding finances, and I took to that world like a duck takes to water. So
Right.
after I got hurt midway through my senior season, I went and got a job in an internship, which I think is super important, particularly for a young person who doesn't have family connections on Wall Street, et cetera,
Right.
or or have gone to, a top school, right? I mean, I was recruited by top schools. I was recruited by a couple Ivy League schools. I didn't go. I didn't go because my girlfriend was going to a school in Long Island, and I
There you go.
thought that I was gonna remain in love, so who cares about Princeton when
Right.
you're in love? So, yeah, but I look back and I don't regret it, right? So,
Right.
anyway, got hurt, went and got a job with the Dreyfus Service Corporation.
Nice.
I was 20 years old, I became the youngest person that they ever had who got their Series 6. I was there for 6 months before I graduated, college, and then they offered me a job, immediately after school, which is another great thing about internships at whatever level,
Right.
and I took that job, and, I started in the back office. I started as a client service representative, and I sort of worked my way up over the years. I was at Dreyfus for only a short time, a year and change. A woman by the name of Irene Pappas gave me the opportunity to hire me full time.
Wow.
And I went to her after 7 or 8 months and I said, Irene, I want to make a lot of money and I'm not going to do it here. I want to be in the trading side. I want to be in the more active side. And she said, well, I don't have that for you now, but we really like you. You know, go out and try to do better for yourself if you can, and I'll support you. And so I found a different opportunity, and she did support me. I found a job with a company at the time called Marsan Securities. You're old enough to remember First Jersey Securities. The
Yeah,
guy's name
sure.
was Bob Brennan. Come grow with us.
Yeah.
Well, he grew all right. He grew right into people's bankruptcy accounts. It was pretty crazy. It was one of the original boilermaker shops.
Right.
And, so I got a job with them, and the whole job was, "Hey, you come here, you pay for your own Series 7,
Right.
right? And you live somehow. We're not gonna pay you anything, and we'll sponsor you." So they sponsored me. I took a one-week crash course. I had to pay for it myself. I passed my Series 7, and I started learning, literally like the Wolf of Wall Street. Here's a list, call people up,
Right.
here's your script,
Pounding the
and
phones.
pounding it, and, you gotta buy from me. And I did it for about 3 months. And at night, I was working in bars, in clubs, and I was bouncing and, helping the owner out with various things. So that's how I supported myself. So I worked all day, and then I went and worked 4 nights in the club, so till 4. I don't need a lot of sleep. I sleep about 4 hours a night. So I'd
Yeah,
work till
I know
4 in the
that.
morning. I'd come back, and then I'd go back to work again. Funny, I met an Italian guy. I cold called, we got it off. We bonded because of my background and my name and his, and we started talking about the market. And he didn't have any representatives, any brokers or anything, but he had a bunch of money and he didn't know what to do with it. So I started talking to him about building a diversified portfolio. You should have some of this and you should have some of that. You should have some fixed income and some equities, and you want to build a balanced portfolio for your family over time. Well, my boss at the time, who will remain nameless, was furious. That's not what we do here. Here's your script. Here's what you're going to sell. You're going to sell this penny stock to this guy. I said, but it's not appropriate for him. He doesn't want to buy underground airways,
Right.
you know? Um,
And lose all his money.
so after that, I mean, literally 2 days later, I quit.
Mm.
And then I moved into um, a company called Ovest Securities, which was at the very beginning when they deregulated the commission schedule. And they created discount brokers.
Mm.
So Muriel Siebert, Mickey Siebert, was one of the first women on the New York Stock Exchange, and she started the first discount brokerage firm. And my company, Ovest, was the second or third. And so I went to Ovest and I learned the business again from the ground up. Didn't represent any people, just handled systems, kind of like what Charles Schwab and Fidelity are
Right.
today. And that really got me started in my career. And then I was full on into the 80s, right? The whole 83, 84, 85, 86. And the market just took off. And I got very fortunate. I had a couple of people who liked me, recommended me, and I ended up in various positions at firms and moving up. And my first big firm was Kidder Peabody.
Yeah, sure.
And I learned a lot about how to be a round lot trader. Round lots are institutional size or a million or above. I started out as an odd lot trader, trading small pieces of bonds, et cetera. I've always been on the fixed income side. So I moved to Kidder. I learned how to trade institutional round lots, and that was right before and after GE came in. So I was there the day that they came in and grabbed our CEO, Dick Wigton, and threw him up against the wall. I was right there watching this. Old man, kind of looked like me, little portly guy, slapped handcuffs on him, slammed him up against the wall, for alleged violations of which he never did and which he was, completely exonerated for. And that was my first, understanding of the law as it relates to the SEC and politics and things. And boy, I didn't love that at all. But I was there for it, and I got to understand how things really are. And so, you may think you're right, and you may be right, but there's a lot of circumstances around all that that actually determine
Mm,
whether you should press your option to be right or not, right? So, and you know this in
yeah,
your business world with some of the deals that you've done. I'm sure you've seen lots of the opportunities and lots of things, and sometimes you better sense it to say you probably not touch that one.
right.
So I don't, so there are certain things you do in my world, you just don't touch it. So anyway, Kidder Peabody, and after that, I sort of rose through the ranks. I ended up at Bear Stearns.
Yeah, sure.
That's where I became a partner in
Wow.
I want to say 1990. Um, and I was there for almost 10 years. And then from
Wow.
there, I went to UBS. And so it's been a very incredible ride, super, super blessed.
Yeah.
And I just have a natural ability as it relates to trading, just I understand risk intuitively, and that's helped me as a trader and a portfolio manager all these years.
Right.
But I think the important thing that I learned in the early days is you have to be true to yourself. Like, I wasn't being true to myself to try to take that guy Vito and sell him Underground Airways. It wasn't the right thing to do, and so I've made my life not just a business world, but in my personal life, and always just trying to do the right thing. And sometimes doing the right thing is not easy,
No, I
and it's
know.
it's certainly not the most profitable,
Right.
but it's the way you live with yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I know, you do a lot of work with young people at Nova Southeastern, and you volunteer your time, and you even said it earlier how important things are, like like having young people do internships and giving them those opportunities. And it's funny coming into an industry where your parents weren't involved,
You're right.
where you really weren't exposed as a kid, and you were just lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time to get those exposures. How do you counsel people today, even your own people that work for you? How do you counsel them today to get more involved?
I when I went to the last board meeting at Nova, not the one we had last night, but the one 6 months ago, and I went in there and I dressed like I don't normally dress, flashier like this. I have a pretty extensive ring that was given to me by one of my investors. And it's pretty amazing. It's actually a NBA championship ring, the
Wow.
three-peat ring for the Lakers. And I wore it, and I never wear it. You've never seen me, but I
No, I've
wore it,
never seen that.
and I wore it for a reason. I wore it to sit in front of these kids and tell them where I came from, which is kind of nowhere.
Right.
And I'm sitting in front of them now, and this is a facade. It's not real, but it's as real as it can be at this moment. And all these things, if you want these types of things, if you work hard and you're determined and you persevere, you can do it. And when you sit in front of Nova students, they're no different than Long Island University students. I mean, it's nothing wrong at all with having the opportunity to go to a great school like an Ivy or a top 10. And I respect all those people very much, and they're great competitors. But the kids I'm sitting in front of don't have that chance, but they have the chance to do what I did. And so what I tried to reflect to them was, you can do this too. Now you may have to be maniacal in your in your ambition and super focused, and you may have to make trade-offs and maybe not be as sort of well balanced and all that type of stuff as others might be.
Right.
But you can do it if you really want it. So what I love about participating on that group is that those are me,
Right.
young men and young women, just like I was. And it hasn't changed today. In this country, you can still, you don't have to hit the lottery. You don't have to be the next Bitcoin genius. If you work hard and you have a dream, dreaming is important. It's critical. Envisioning where you want to be is what it's all about. Dream big is what I tell these kids. Dream big. There is no dream too big for you. And if you dream it, it can come to reality. The power of intention is something I believe in massively. So that's what I try to get across to the young people. And it's not a straight shot. I mean, I've had lots of ups and downs,
Yeah, sure.
tons, more than I want to talk about. But
I,
but you try to
I've heard some of the
win more.
stories.
Yeah, you try to win more than you lose.
Right.
And when you are losing, you try to cut your losses quickly.
Yeah.
There's something inside you. There's a little voice, and that voice will tell you whether it's right or wrong, or you're doing the right thing or not, or the trade is a good trade or a bad trade. And sometimes the problem with people is that they hang on. They hang on when it's a bad trade. They hang on when they're in the wrong job. They hang on when they hired somebody and that person's not cutting it. They know they should make a change, but they don't do it. Um, you need to be able to move forward. You know, the rear view mirror in your car, very small. So when you want to look behind you, it's a small place to look. But when you look at your windshield is gigantic. So you want to be out looking out forward, and you want to be able to see the entire field. And that's what you have to focus on. And you're going to have lots of setbacks. The key is just keep going.
Yeah. I think, what I've learned from you in the short times that we've known each other and I've gotten to spend time with you is two things. You're not afraid to work hard. Like when you realize that something's going to work for you, just like simply walking, like, you, you know, just, talk about like, once you understand how to do something, you're going to put all your effort into it.
Yeah, like I said, it's people talk about work life balance. I wouldn't tell you I have a lot of work life balance. So my life is a large part of work. My family is super important to me, but they're immersed
Yeah,
with
sure.
with what I'm doing. And you mentioned walking, so I walk anywhere from 6 to 8 miles every day, super early in the morning, 6:30. When I'm doing that, I'm talking to my guys, either in Europe, some of the salespeople, research people, or people in New York, or I'm listening to podcasts. I listen to yours. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I've become addicted the last 3 years. I love listening to bright people, and I'm a glass half full person.
Mm.
So I enjoy listening to those who are half full. They inspire me. So yeah, every morning I'm out there walking through the neighborhood, or if I'm up in New York or New England doing the same thing, and I'm researching, I'm working while I'm walking, I'm getting exercise, and I prefer that over the treadmill, which I saw in your office, by the way, which looks pretty neat. But I like being outside. I like the ambient noise of the birds and whatever it is, and so yeah, every day I'm out there doing that.
Yeah, and that was gonna be my second point, but I'll just touch on it one more time. I think one of the things that I've learned from you is that you're willing to learn and you're willing to do a lot of research. I mean, you are listening, like you just said, and I knew this about you, that you listen to a ton
I do
of podcasts. You're always you always have your
podcasts.
nose to the ground trying to figure out what's going on.
Founders podcast is tremendous. I'm a big history buff, and so biographies is my my read of choice.
Right.
And now I do that through the Founders podcast, where this fellow goes to all these entrepreneurs. That's why I love listening to your show. I love listening to people's stories, and I always was that way ever since I was just a young kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I always felt like I learned a lot by reading those type of things. So immersed in data. So, I worked at the biggest firms. I now run a small operation, small firm. We've been in business a long time. Our investors are very important to
Right.
us. Um, we're in the fixed income world, and it's all about consistency and process and delivering what you tell people you're going to deliver and balance. But I look at it and I'm like, how much how are things changing now? And I've never seen change like this, Andy.
Yeah.
This advent of AI, what would have taken me days to research with my team takes me now literally minutes.
Right.
Literally minutes. So I use a very advanced machine learning driven model that combines sort of equity and fixed income type of metrics with ratings trajectories or the targets for a company's creditworthiness, and that model gives you ideas, to buy and sell, and what it tries to do is show you the rate of change in companies improving,
Mm.
delivering, or going the other way, getting worse, and their leverage is going up and they're not performing. Now, with the advent of AI slapped on top of that, I can actually have all the output that comes out of that model, and it literally talks to me. So I run it through Grok
Wow.
while I'm walking, and Grok is Musk's AI. There's a bunch of good AIs. That's my preference. Some of my guys use ChatGPT, but as I'm walking, I'm talking to Grok about the results that the model just spit out to me, and so I'm able to cover such a wider range of opportunities. And this for us has really just hit in the last 6 months where we're beginning to really understand it. And it's really, I think the advent of AI, I think people really underestimate what it's going to do for
Yeah.
society. It's going to take the lowest common denominator and raise that denominator. What I mean by that, you get your driver's license.
Yeah.
Everybody is around the car driving, and you might be Mario Andretti for old people like us, world famous driver. But you might be behind some person who doesn't know how to drive. You are stuck behind that person. You have to go at their speed. You have to be careful. You have to understand. Doesn't matter what the speed limits are. If they're going half the speed limit, you can't get around them if you're in traffic. So driving is the lowest common denominator. Self driving, as it's coming out now, is going to raise everybody's bar. Ultimately, when all these cars are equipped for self-driving, the new common denominator will be the machine learning AI. So you're not going to get stuck behind a really, really poor driver, right? It's an incredible thing to really think about,
Mm.
right? And that's how it is more broadly across the world now. All of human intelligence is being poured into these AIs,
Right.
and they are going to raise the level of everybody because you might have a kid with a phenomenal IQ and a kid with an IQ that's not so high, but they in their hand they have the same computer, the same AI, and that kid, if he knows what question to ask, will be just as able to respond to you as the kid who who has that super IQ. So everything gets pushed up. And I think it's going to be absolutely incredible. And I didn't really embrace it until the last few months. And now I'm starting to really, really see
Right.
what could be. And there's a lot of scary things about it. I
Sure.
get it, and we could talk about, the Terminator, all that other
Yeah.
stuff.
Robots.
But
Yeah.
but you know what? This is going to happen. You cannot stop
Nope.
what's going to happen. So how do you embrace it? And again, as I spoke to the kids last night, you have to embrace it in your investment process, for instance. You want to ask, there are certain questions you always want to ask. You want to ask the AI. AIs hallucinate, so you need to double check the data,
Right.
but they're able to get you the data so quickly. And everybody's level of intelligence is going to be raised by this technology. I completely believe it. So I'm super optimistic about the future. And I'm not worried about, the AI replacing everybody's jobs.
Right.
I mean, I can give you this something: pick and shovel, a horse-drawn carriage, all that other stuff. I think the human race will continue to morph and find other avenues and other things to do. It is true that employment is softening right now,
Yeah.
and
It
that's
is.
why the Fed's cutting rates finally. And the biggest part of the employment softening is in entry level jobs, and we can understand that it's not tariff driven. It's actually entry level jobs, and a lot of those jobs are starting to be mitigated by AI. Phone banks, for instance, right?
Right.
Telephone banks. Hi, can I help you? Well, now it's the AI talking to you. Can I help you? Yeah,
Cashiers.
you're going back cashiers, and you can go on and on and on. Think about this: Tesla, his idea is to have every car be super fitted for self-driving. So your car, you pick it out, will drive you here to your office, and then it will log into, be part of Uber or Lyft or somebody else, and your car will be driving around Fort Lauderdale, making you money while you're sitting here in the office, and you programmed it
Yeah.
to come back and pick you up. I know you work super late, so come back at 8 o'clock, pick you up at 8 o'clock at night, and the car's made you money. Now, what does that do? Well, it will eliminate some driving jobs, no question. It should also lower the cost of Ubers and Lyfts, et cetera, and so on. And those people that are going to get disintermediated need to, retool themselves to find other opportunities.
Right.
So, but it's going to happen. It's happening literally as we speak.
It is. It is. I can't wait for self-driving cars.
Me
I
too,
love it.
because I don't hear so well anymore, and I don't see so great at night. So I don't know about you, but I'm thinking about my first car soon, my first Tesla,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, so I got a Lucid. It's kinda cool.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah, so, we do like to d you started this podcast by saying you moved to Florida and you love being down here. And I know you do a lot of boating and, what are some of the other, we always talk about some restaurants. What are some you mentioned Rayo's. So you grew up around there.
Yes, so there's Sicilians, and we know the family for a long, long time.
Right,
They recently opened a restaurant at the Lowe's. They're partners with the
right,
Tishes, so we go down there once a month. We go up to the New York restaurant a few times a year. I love living in South Florida.
right.
I think it's fantastic. We're involved with a bunch of charities here,
Yep,
whether it's Cleveland Clinic
right,
or the Broward Performing Arts Center,
yep,
Humane Society. There's a bunch that we're really involved with. I know you're super involved, and that's something that I
right.
admire so much about you and your wife. And you do incredible things for the community, and you're super
We all
modest.
try to help.
You're super modest, and you don't talk about it, which
Mhm.
which you probably should more. But living down here is amazing. We're one of the original investors in the Bright Line Railroad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
I
uh,
love
and
that thing.
and we're trying to get people to ride more. People don't want to give up their cars in
It was
Florida.
packed. Let me tell you something. You guys went from 6 to 10 trains,
Yep.
and it was packed.
Well,
I've
I
been
love
back and
hearing
forth
it.
to Orlando, and it was
Yep.
still pretty packed.
Love hearing it. We're still a bondholder,
Yeah,
and we're always sort of trying to get people to ride it for a million reasons, all of which you know.
yeah,
So there's just a lot going on down here in South Florida, and the building.
yeah.
I
It's
mean,
crazy.
and so my concern, like everybody's concern, is sort of infrastructure and things like that. Can we handle the continued influx of people that are going to continuing to come down to South Florida? And it remains to be seen.
Yeah,
Hopefully, we'll have good politicians in place
yeah,
that get the joke and keep investing money into the infrastructure.
yeah.
That's my concern down here, to be honest
Well,
with
they
you.
were talking about self-driving cars that since self-driving cars could fit in a smaller lane, uh, we'll actually wind up with less roads,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it'll be more efficient. And, I heard somebody talking about that as well, is that cars will be driving around and you'll like have a subscription for it. If you want a luxury car, it'll pick you up.
That's right.
If you want to be
Subscription
by
service.
yourself, it'll pick you up,
Yep.
So it'll be
And
pretty
your
interesting.
car might be in that subscription. The car you own, if you happen to
Right.
be a guy that wants to
Yeah.
own one, why?
Right.
Your car might be in that pool.
Yeah.
And
No.
that's already happening in certain parts of the country,
Yeah.
literally.
So, Rayo's is, one of your stops. What else do you like in Fort Lauderdale?
Oh, geez.
Too many, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of good places.
Yeah.
The top places. I
Right.
mean, Casa d'Angelo's probably,
Right.
the premier
Right.
Italian place down here, and there's quite a few others that we frequent. We like to cook at home too, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I'm dangerous behind the grill, so
You are.
we enjoy that.
It's good. So, we like to leave with a little bit of advice for young people living. We gave some advice of working hard and out there. I mean, I think there's amazing opportunities in the future for young people, even more than we had sometimes. I think the ability to start a business, to promote yourself. We talk about marketing.
What's an
It's unprecedented.
influencer? I don't
Right.
even know what that means.
I know,
I
but
met a guy the other day, handsome guy, and I said, "We're talking," and I go, "What do you do?" He goes, "I'm an influencer." I said, "What? What do you influence?" He goes, "I influence you and everybody else." I'm like, "Wow, and you get paid for that?" He goes, "I do indeed."
right.
So yeah, there's a lot of opportunities out there.
There's a lot of opportunities out there. Well,
Marketing, I mean, my God, it's the hardest thing to do, whether it's for your business or for your personal
yeah,
life, and having the advent of social media is incredibly dangerous in some ways too, but
right,
incredible. I'm only on LinkedIn. I'm not
right,
on any other social media on purpose. But I understand, people do, and I understand
yeah,
why. So, for a young person, my number one thing is, yeah, to really be successful. Not everybody's going to be really successful, by the way. It's just the way it works.
right,
But to really be successful, you have to follow whatever your passion is. You have to have a passion. even if you have a sort of a 9 to 5 sort of mediocre-ish job in your mind, you might have a passion for something else. Maybe it's guitars,
Right.
maybe it's music,
Right.
you know, and you know, maybe the job is just feeding that real desire that you have. So then let the job feed that desire and figure out over time how to make that desire into something
Yeah.
that drives return for you. Or at least, at the very least, it makes you super happy because it's not all about money for everybody, right? And
No.
not for me either, right? Money is important. Anybody tells you it's not about the money in my world, the Wall Street, they're full of it. It's always about the money, one way or the other. But you know, but fulfillment and feeling like you've done something. My dad, as I said, was a builder, and I worked with him for years over the summers, et cetera. And the sense of satisfaction that he had when he built a house for somebody, a home builder, he brought me along a lot of times when he brought the people back for the for the final time to see their completed product, and the sense of pride that he had almost makes me tear
Yeah.
up. The sense of pride he had when those people took the keys for the first time in their house, and this is after World War II. He was building,
Yeah.
and through the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, and the sense of pride he has that he left something standing. And then years later, he would take me in the car and he'd go, "Come on, let's go see the houses." What houses? The ones we built, 15 years ago. And we drive around, and there's streets on Long Island with our names on them because when you built a house or a development pretty much, you
Yeah.
can name the
You can
streets.
name the
So
streets.
there's Narrow Lane and this South Street and all this other stuff, and just the pride. So to me, in my world of managing money, I feel that pride by delivering the best results that I can for our investors, and by never straying from what I've told them I was going to do. No style drift, right? This is what you say you're going to do, and so I'm in the fixed income world. You didn't hire me to be your Bitcoin manager. You
Right.
start going through the portfolio that I run for you, and there's Bitcoin in there. That's not
Not
good.
what you do.
That's so you do what you say you're going to do, and you have pride in it, and that's sort of very much how I live my life. I've been really super blessed to be welcomed down here in Florida by
Yeah.
yourself and people like Jason Howe
Yeah.
and just great people who are great family people who work super hard. And I love the privilege stuff. I mean, I'm not young,
Right.
as evidenced by what I've explained to you, and I still work 18 hours a day. So I'd like to know where the privilege is.
Right.
The privilege is actually being able to do what I do and love what I do. That's the privilege. So anybody can have that privilege, right? You got to just love what you do.
Right.
That's the privilege.
I'm going to leave it there because it was amazing what I did. Sal, if anybody wants to get in touch with you to learn more, what's
Yeah,
the best
you
way?
can hit me up on LinkedIn, or
Yeah.
we have a website. Tiptree is the holding company, but LinkedIn's probably the best way
Yeah.
to reach out.
Sal, amazing story. Thank you
Thanks.
for everything you do in the community. Thank you for being, a great friend to everybody. And congrats. I mean,
Appreciate it.
we're all blessed. Thank you.
We are indeed.
All right. Thank you.
Gratitude.
All right, everybody. Another great episode of Coffee with Cagnetta with the Sal Naro. See you next time when we get together again. Thank you.